Alright guys, so as you can see we're here for AOR Season 15, round number 2 for the Chinese Grand Prix at Shanghai. And heading into this round I felt quite well prepared, although I didn't really do too much practice, because I only really practice on the Sundays really, because I don't have too much time in the week really to do so. But this is the fastest lap I did in qualifying, which you're about to see now, and I've already uploaded the lap, which was good enough for pole position. And I could have gone quicker, but with the frame rate issues with more than like 15 people or so in the lobby, it's quite difficult to do that. And it was a 31.7, which is a decent time. My PB before that was a 31.5, but I couldn't really get near to that. But I'm not complaining at all, because it is my second ever AOR F1 pole, and it's also my second ever AOR pole across all tiers that I've competed in, and also my second ever pole at this track. So it seems like this track is the only track I can take pole in at AOR at the moment. But after winning Australia, I was definitely aiming to try and win again here and try and extend the championship lead over my main rival Synthetic, and the pace was looking decent. Like, this is a track I've always liked. I won here last season in very different conditions to these ones that you can see now, but yeah, it's always been a track I've enjoyed, and hopefully we can fight for a podium at least. But you can see now we're pretty much 2/10 up on our previous best lap time. Could have taken a bit more speed into that chicane there, but getting a good exit, which is the most important thing down this long straight. So shifting up now into 7th gear. You can see I've got fuel for another lap, but if the first lap's good enough, we don't really need to go for another lap on the set tyres, because it's going to be a one-stop strategy, super soft to mediums, although it was possible to do a super soft as you will see in the race, but I was always intending to go on to super soft mediums. But you can see now gaining a lot of time through the hairpin. Now pretty much, well, we could have taken a bit more speed there through the final corner. I think we lost a 10th there, but across the line it's a 31.7, as you've probably seen already through my video. But as pole position, you can see just how close the top 7 are there, separated by 700ths of a second, which is just unreal. And Synthetic is down in P8, so we're in a good position here for the Grand Prix. As you can see, it's slightly mixed conditions right now, but we're still on the dry tyres, the 5 red lights. And it's lights out and away we go here for round number 2 of AOR Season 15. The initial launch was pretty good, although on the second phase at the start, Alex has pulled alongside us here, and heading into turn 1 we give him an awful lot of room there, but you can see he's pretty much just understeered into me, or turned in a bit too late. We get a warning from that, from the game there, but you can see all chaos has ensued behind us, and we have got through it pretty cleanly. I thought we might get a steward's investigation or something from that, but I've seen his footage and it was pretty much just a racing incident. I think he was quite desperate to try and get in the lead, but yeah, it was all fine really, and unfortunately his race has been pretty much ruined, but he was absolutely fine about it after the race. And you can see Clarky has made his way up into P2 from P6 I believe on the grid, and Synthetic is now in P3 as well from P8, so the two guys behind us are very quick, especially Synthetic, so we've got to be pretty careful. And you can see at this stage in the race we're just trying to get used to these sorts of conditions, because you can never really practice in this. I've said that before, but you can't practice in these conditions. You can't set the weather to be like this unless you get it on dynamic, which is pretty rare. So yeah, just getting used to the conditions at the moment, and I was just thinking to myself at this stage, I've just got to be consistent and hopefully quick. And you can see we're starting to pull away already from the cars behind, so that's definitely a good sign to try and take 2 wins from 2, which would be absolutely amazing if I can do that. But we'll have to wait and see how it goes, and I'm sure you guys, a lot of you are probably aware of what happened if you follow me on Twitter at VolotcheOlid. Make sure you go and do that, link is in the description if you haven't already. But you can see heading towards the end of lap 1, we've got pretty much a second over Clarky already, but I didn't think Clarky would be my main rival. I thought it would be Synthetic, because his race pace compared to his qualifying is just unreal. I think he always gets, like, I think his setup's always more made for the race than qualifying. But you can see setting the fastest lap again there on the end of lap 2 as DRS gets enabled. The gap is now 1.8 seconds, and you can see moving on to lap 4 the track is really starting to dry out, and it's pretty much going to go drier and drier from here. And you can see it's 44.3, which is the fastest lap, but Synthetic is now into P2. The gap is 2.2 seconds, and gradually people are just setting faster lap after faster lap. I think that's just because the track is getting drier, and the further behind you are in the sector and in the lap really, you're gonna get more of a dry track, so you're setting fastest times. But you can see RS Kaz on the leaderboard there says he's in first place, even though in reality I think he was in like 5th or 6th or something like that at this stage. But for some reason on my screen he was being very glitchy, and he kept appearing in first place in the leaderboard and appearing backwards on the track as well. You can see once again setting fast lap that Synthetic has managed to beat it, and now Floris has managed to beat it as well. You can see RS Kaz once again through turn 1 has now gone to first in the leaderboard, which is basically just the game being glitchy once again, unfortunately. And I think, yeah, we pretty much got dry conditions now, as Curly Whirly has joined the session, my teammate there, but he got disconnected, so that's not good for him, and now he's pretty much out of contention. Once again setting fast lap as the track gets dry, but people kept beating it, and Synthetic just had slightly better pace than us, as RS Kaz once again on the leaderboard goes first place in exactly the same place. So I knew at this stage something wasn't right here, and you can see crossing the line now, we set a fast lap, and this time Synthetic does not beat it, so that's really what I wanted to do, to just try and psychologically have an advantage on him there by proving that we had better pace, but it's only ever so slightly better than his. And you can see it's not going to be long till we pit, and we've set to go on the medium tyres, which I thought would be the correct decision, but it turns out the medium tyres have absolutely no pace whatsoever, and the understeer you get with medium tyres is just ridiculous as well. So in hindsight I should have gone for soft tyres and I should have stayed out a bit longer, but you can see heading into the pits at the end of lap 8 and we just outbrake ourselves, do a Hamilton from 2007, lose a bit of time there, but luckily they don't have the gravel there anymore, and you can see almost speeding in the pit lane as well. So I think I was getting a bit too desperate there in the pits, but onto the medium tyres we go, and that is, yeah, that's a decent stop as well. So out the pits we go now, and hopefully we won't come out in too much traffic like we did in Australia, where we had to overtake Ovidi Kink. But you can see he's actually in front of us, but I think the gap is quite a bit bigger this time, and he's also on the medium tyres, so I don't think we'll catch him before he pits. And you can see Dawados on the soft tyres, who I think is yet to pit. I might be wrong about that, but yeah, he's behind us in 8th place, unless he pitted really early, which I don't think he did, considering he's on the soft tyres. But P7 it is, and I knew at this stage I just got to really put in the consistent and quick lap times and hopefully be in the 35s on the mediums, which is pretty tough to do, and I knew that's what I had to do in order to come out ahead of Synthetic once he pits, which I don't think will be till about lap 11 or 12, because the soft tyres, obviously they're going to wear out quicker. But yeah, I'm pretty annoyed at the decision to go for medium tyres, which was clearly wrong, as Dawados, who was just behind us just then, has just retired, so he obviously pushed a bit too hard and went off the track, and he's made a mistake, so he is out of the Grand Prix, so that's unfortunate for him. But we got Ovidi Kink 7.5 seconds in front of us, so yeah, I can't see us catching him, but I was just hoping we weren't going to get caught up in traffic. And you can see once again it says RS Kaz is in front of us, and yeah, you can see him here in the middle of the track going ridiculously slowly, and that's not actually him. In reality he is driving around in, I don't know what position he's in, but he's not doing that on, like, when he's driving on his game, he's not doing that basically, and it's just on my screen that he's just planted in the middle of the track. So I thought at this stage, like, maybe he was just having an issue or something, but it turned out that is just the game glitching, and I had no idea of that at this stage. But it's obviously not great really from Codemasters that you have a car in the middle of the track. So you can see Synthetic is making his way out of the pits now, and you can see we're coming out ahead of him, but it's only about a 3-second gap, which to be honest I thought would be a bit more if, like, he's on the super soft tyres and they're going to be worn out. I thought I would have gained a bit more time than that, but now he's on the soft tyres, he's got fresh soft tyres, and he's going from here to the end with the one-stop strategy. And me being on the mediums and him on the softs, I'm pretty much a sitting duck here, and you can see we're setting a personal best sector 1, but the gap is 3.1. I'm going to stay on board from here till I think the next lap, and we're just going to see how the gap comes down really, and the difference between soft tyres and medium tyres, because yeah, the understeer you had with these tyres is just unreal, and I should have maybe practiced a bit more, but I didn't really have the chance to. And if I practiced a bit more, I would have maybe changed my strategy and realised the soft tyres would have worked, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. And you can see already he's gained 0.4 of a second in one sector, and I knew at this stage I'm just going to have to hold him back and defend for my life here if I'm going to have any chance of winning this race and getting my second race win in a row around China and also in this season. But you can see down the straight we go, staying in standard because I haven't really got too much fuel left to burn. So braking just as the curb starts there on the left and missing the apex slightly as well, so a bit of a scruffy lap as well. and could have been a bit quicker, but heading around the final corner, and we're going to see the gap as we cross the line here onto lap 13. So across the line we go, not too bad of a lap time there, and it's now 2.4 seconds, so once again he gains 0.3 of a second. And now across the line again onto lap 14, Synthetic sets the fast lap with 35.0, and we did a 36.2, so he's gained 1.2 seconds in one lap. And my teammate Curly there, who's disconnected, I'm just going to drive past him, but here on lap 14 I can't do anything to keep Synthetic behind really, and I knew it was just a matter of time that he was going to pass me, so I knew when he gets up to the back of me I'm going to have to try my best to defend, as we're now slowly catching the 3 cars in front as well. But now the gap is a second, when this time pretty much a lap ago it was 3 seconds, so he's gained 2 seconds in a lap pretty much, and yeah, we're going to pretty much be a sitting duck from here. So through the middle sector, and this is where the soft tyres really are going to come into their own compared to the medium tyres. And yeah, I was hoping maybe he'd catch up to the traffic in front as well, so that might enable us to get back, but you can see I locked up a bit there into the chicane as well, so that's now made him even more close to me down the straight as well. So going into Rich now, and we're going to have to pull to the right hand side of the circuit when he gets DRS to defend. So there's the DRS board, and now we're going to have to defend. So Synthetic's in the slipstream, he's got DRS, we pull to the right hand side of the circuit to defend the inside line, and he goes to the outside. We break at the 100 metre board, breaking pretty late, and now he's round the outside. We're going to try and squeeze him over to the curb, but he's holding it around the outside, so fair play to him. Pretty clean, fair racing. Is now into the final corner, we bash wheels slightly, and Synthetic has managed to get through, and I go back into Rich Mix trying to get him back down the straight, but I knew at this stage there's pretty much nothing I can do, so I'm going to try it into turn 1 and try and hug the inside line, try and get back up the inside, but he's just got so much more grip than me, and now I've got dirty air as well, so I can't really see myself holding on, like being able to stay with him really from here. So maybe we're going to have to just focus on getting second place and making a damage limitation from here, but I'll see what I can do. And like, being as competitive as I am, I was desperate to try and get him back, and you can see just how hard I'm pushing here, but he's already got about half a second on us here. And in the S's you can just see how much more grip he has than us. He's just able to carry quite a bit more speed, and yeah, it's going to be well, I think my last chance really to get him back is through the DRS here on lap 15, but I'm not really close enough unless he makes a mistake into the chicane, which he hasn't done at all. So we're 8 tenths behind already, and my last opportunity to get him back would be when he catches the group in front, if he does before they pit. But I was hoping his tyres would wear out towards the end, but yeah, I was also hoping that the race would come back to me, but I can't really see that happening if he's pitted on lap 12, and the soft tyres should be able to make it pretty much from here to the end pretty comfortably. And also our medium tyres, as I pitted earlier, are going to be pretty much in the same condition as his soft tyres towards the end of the race. And you can see there, RS Kaz is off in the gravel, and once again that's not him, that's the game, like putting him in that position, which is really difficult to explain. I hope I'm explaining it kind of well, but yeah, on my screen the car is just being like placed in different weird positions around the circuit, and I just thought he was driving like an absolute noob, and I thought maybe he should not be a driver in F1 if he's driving like that. And you can see Synthetic is going down the inside of Obadi Kink, who puts up no defence whatsoever compared to what he did to me at Australia when I came up behind him. So I don't know what that's about really, but you can see he's going into the pits now, so maybe he just didn't want to lose any time as he was heading into the pits, but he put up no defence whatsoever to Synthetic. Is now crossing the line. The pace is consistent in the low 36s, but nowhere near good enough to keep up with Synthetic. And you can see moving on to lap 22 now, he's pretty much long gone into the distance. The gap is 4.2 seconds as we set 35.8, so the pace is not too bad for medium tyres, but Synthetic would have been setting mid to low 35s in soft tyres, so there's not a chance we can catch up with him. And Clarkey is slowly closing on us as well, and I think he had an RDX team behind him, or RC Alonso or someone like that, so they were slowly catching on us, but it was pretty comfortable for me to hold them behind, and we're in a pretty much comfortable position in P2 now, and all we had to do was just drive from here to the end, because when they would start to close on me behind, I think I could react to it and yeah, we were just gonna hopefully be picking up 18 points from here to the end and get damage limitation, and we'd be equal on points with synthetic, which would be definitely a good battle for the championship in the long term. And he was my rival last year as well, so it's kind of an ongoing rivalry from last year. But yeah, synthetic's definitely one to watch out. His race pace is really good, and he's going to be difficult to beat this season. But you can see Jim Pasty sets the fastest lap with a 34.1. He's obviously pitted, or super softs I assume, but we're also trying to look after the amount of fuel we have. You can see I've only got 0.1 laps left as well, so just staying in standards down the straight. And the pace still wasn't bad on the medium tyres compared to what I was doing in practice, but heading around the hairpin here on lap 23, and you can see RS Kaz has spun in front, and yeah, a lot of you have probably seen that already on Twitter, but that car there in the middle of the track who's reversing now, so I thought it was actually him, but yeah, it's not actually him. In reality he's in P5, as I've said already, and he was just placed in the middle of the track and he didn't ghost. And I'm not really gonna describe my feelings on that, because if I did, my language probably wouldn't be very good. But into the pits we go now, and we're going to change our front wing and go onto the super soft tyres, and we've now lost second place through a game glitch, one of the many game glitches on this game, which is pretty much a piss take really. But we're now down into P16, which is probably P17 because Kaz is in P5, but there's no chance of points really from here, and we've lost the podium, and with synthetic in first place we're now going to be 18 points behind. And this was one of the races where I don't have to spend most of my week and weekend revising for exams, so I really need to make the most of this, like races like this where I can practice a decent amount. And unfortunately I've now lost 18 points through no fault of my own, and now we're going to be quite far behind my main rival synthetic, who's driving very well. So I've now got quite a big job, and you can see once again Kaz is off to the side of the track, even though it's not actually him. It's just he's placed there on the game, and I just don't believe it really. I don't believe how you can have such a stupid glitch embedded in the game, how it's allowed to stay in it without them patching it or changing it, because it's just embarrassing really. But you can see P15, we're going to catch the guys in front who are on softs, and one of them is Zoppolet, who got pole at Australia, but he's obviously not having the greatest of races. I think he qualified in the top 8 or so, but we should set the fast lap this race with the super soft tyres, but that's not what I want in any way. And at this stage I was just fuming really, and to be honest, like, I'm not gonna lie, I was driving around at this stage thinking it was actually Kaz that was just driving like a retard, but it wasn't, because like in the PS4 chat after the race he said he finished P5, and I saw on the results as well he finished in P5, so on my screen he was in a totally different position to where he actually was. He was actually like 10 seconds behind me on the road, but for some reason it was like that, and I have no idea why. I've never had a glitch like that before. I think other people have, but I just don't believe it. And you can see we're now off into P15. We've managed to pass Zoppolet. We might be able to get the two cars in front here on the final 2 laps or so. It's heading around the final corner. The pace is obviously going to be really good on fresh super soft tyres, and you can see now we're going to stay on board pretty much from here to the end on lap 27. And we've got Alvaro Mazia in front, I think that's how you say that, I might be wrong about that, who races for the same esports team as Carrick's and Michelangelo, which is a pretty good team, but he hasn't really done too well so far in AOR, so hopefully his form will improve in the coming races. But you can see in the slipstream and the DRS now, and we're going to do a dummy on him there down the straight. That was pretty nicely done I think, and going around the outside, breaking at 100 metre board, and you can see he's just made a ridiculous dive bomb and pretty much shoved me onto the curb, so that's not very fair from him. And yeah, we've all been warned about driving standards as well after this race, so hopefully we'll get less of that in the coming races. But in the slipstream once again, heading towards turn 1, pulling to the inside line this time, and the move is completed here on the final lap. We've now got Floris in front, who's on super soft tyres. I think they were pretty fresh super soft tyres, although I might be wrong about that. But yeah, we're going to hopefully try and catch him here, but it's only for P13, so no one really cares about P13 anyway, and it's going to be no points for us after as I said already, no fault of my own, so yeah, it's pretty tough to take that, but I've just got to try and come back and win the next few races at Baku and Bahrain and coming tracks after that, and try and get back into the championship, because it's not fair, and if that costs me the championship I won't be happy at all, but there's nothing you can do really with the state of the game, and I'm just praying Codemasters can make a good online game for 2018. But you can see Synthetic has now won the race, so that's he drove well, he was going to win the race anyway, but I should be in P2, and that's pretty annoying. But you can see we've closed in massively on Flores here in the final sector, or in the middle sector, sorry, and you can see going down the straight, open DRS, using the last bit of fuel we have in rich mix there. In the slipstream we're going to pull to the outside line here, braking at the 100-meter board, and he goes to the inside line, but we're going to do a cut back there, and that was pretty nicely done. We get better traction as well, so going side by side, heading towards the last corner, and we brake later than him, and he managed to get the move completed, and that was a pretty nice move there, but it's only for P13, and across the line we go, and yeah, that's our Chinese Grand Prix done. No points for us, but I hope you guys have enjoyed my highlights, and I'll come back in the next few races and try my very best to fight back from that absolute disaster. But thank you very much for watching, hope you have enjoyed. Leave a like if you have, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I will see you very soon. Goodbye.